Hello.
Donna, you're first.
I just have two really detail-oriented, stupid questions. These are great presentations. First of all, I'm really sorry that I didn't make something that's called Nana, because I love it already because of the name. It's like so great, a really great presentation. I wanted to know about the Samsung Watch. This is my stupid question because we looked at it, but it only talks to the Samsung phone. Is that right?
No.
Will it talk to the?
No, it's all alone. It doesn't need you don't even need to buy the phone.
So it'll talk to my
Apple
Android?
Watch, it'll talk to it if you want, but you don't need it. Like we don't even have a
Yeah, what
Tizen.
operating system?
It's not Android Wear.
Oh, Tizen.
Yes.
But you're using it to talk to a phone, right?
No. So we don't have it talk to a phone at all. Why? Don't need it to talk to a phone. Down data gets sent via GSM cell phone signal.
And you can use in the watch is. How are you doing EMA then? So that you send the data up and then prompt the EMA back down?
Yeah, you can prompt the EMA from the server.
I got it.
It connects to
That's
the phone.
cool.
So you need somebody who can develop apps in that particular component.
Correct.
Of course. Yeah. And yes.
Are your apps open?
They're not ready for prime time.
For those non-techie people in the audience, could you explain just a little bit more of what this discussion was just about?
Okay,
Tammy asked for Todd to explain in English what this all meant.
I dare you.
Oh boy. Okay, if you buy an Apple Watch, all right, it has to have a phone connected to it, right? You can't separate them, parent and child. Whereas the Samsung, you can buy the watch and it has all the sensors a phone has, including a cell phone radio. And it has an LCD screen, so you can collect information and have that cell phone act as your conduit to your data depository or data repository. So it's like any other. It's like the same plan you buy for your phone. Yeah. I mean, you have to pay the carrier, just like you would have to pay your phone carrier. Now, if you had Wi-Fi, if all your participants had Wi-Fi, not a problem, right? But we don't.
So if you don't need real-time data transmission, could you have an SD card in a watch that
Yes,
wouldn't burn through
yes.
the battery, and you could download it all?
Yes. And the memory on that watch is pretty large. We haven't really tested it, but it's like 4 gigs.
So
It's much more than an actograph.
so then how do you get? I'm trying to.
Just through a USB cord or whatever. Like you mean?
That's not just. You hear that? Did you see what you did there?
Sorry.
It's just through a USB port.
Sorry. So the watch just would connect like an actograph, right? You connect it to a computer.
So you have to
download
connect it
the
to a
data.
computer to get the data off.
Right. In that scenario, you do if you don't use a
Yeah, but
wireless
you
option.
ruin your battery life if you.
So how long in a day do you get wear time on it?
No.
So if we go bare bones, we can get 10 hours right now. And we have to improve it, and we know that. Now, the limitation is that people have to charge it.
I understand.
Fortunately, the newer devices is just, it's the magnetic charging, so you don't have to plug it, you just put it
So
in.
while I'm charging it, if it's plugged in, can I then suck the data
Yes.
up without having the USB port situation going on?
Yes, and that's what we do as well.
Oh, that's lovable.
Yeah. So we time, it's only uploaded during charging
Got it.
to reduce, or to improve battery life.
Got it. I had another question, but you get to go.
No, go ahead. I have two too.
Okay. This one's
One
for
each.
Jacqueline.
Okay.
Really, really great presentation. And I think you bring us all back to earth by reminding us that all of these things are just gadgets unless there's a proper intervention. And unless you're trying to measure stuff, which is fine. But if you want to intervene, there's got to be a computational model, and there also, I think, has to be people. So these are just widgets unless we use them well. So thank you for that. Question. Do you know Dave Gustafson's work, The Elder Tree?
No.
Okay, so that is a mistake in the design, and we will fix it. Because he's doing really complementary work to what you're doing, and I think you guys would really get along. So,
Thank you.
Okay.
Now
Connections.
you have to say what it is
Yeah.
now. What's elder tree?
So
Elder
Dave
Tree.
Gustafson is. How many of you
Where
guys
is he
know?
at?
Dave Gustafson is in. Where is he? Michigan.
No, Madison.
Madison, somewhere really cold. He's a systems engineer. Way back in at the first mHealth training, which was actually held in San Diego, I was hired. We were supposed to do this duet. I was hired as a behaviorist, and he was hired as an engineer. And he gave a behavioral talk, and I gave an engineering talk, kind of. So just we'd sort of crossed over.
Nice.
He's done some amazing stuff with new technologies and mobile health to intervene, and he's moved his interest now towards the elder. He's studying himself, basically. He's like 80 plus and has a new heart that he calls Lucille, and he does really exciting work. And the Elder Tree uses a large screen, and it has all this social interaction built in, and it's but he's not measuring physical activity the way that you are. I mean, it would be a fantastic synergy. I want to be there, because you'd really flesh out each other's programs. He does rural adults. He's got access to a bunch of them, and he's got this in many homes. And so he has services into this interface that they can access, and things going on in the neighborhood, and also getting them to give their expertise. So if you're really good at sewing, then sewing circles, and it's really heartwarming and actually very fantastic and effective work. And he presented his first the first abstract just came out at Wireless Health, and I have it on my computer, and I'm sure he'd be fine if I shared it with you,
Thank you.
because I asked him.
And I'm excited for when all these philanthropists get older too. Hopefully the money's going to come to older adult research. Like you said, he's older and he's motivated. We're seeing that a little bit too in our area, that, the San Diego Foundation, for example, is that there's a couple of large foundations that they want to find solutions for older adults because they're there.
Rick?
So I'm actually channeling others with my two questions, comments, and the first person I'm channeling is Sai, with a specific question about the watch, the Samsung watch. Look pretty small. So when you're getting, sort of text input or giving EMA, how does that work with older adults?
I would,
Would it be?
yeah,
It's your-
it's your
I think
question,
it's
but
me.
what I would just add from what I said is basically maybe use a lens that sort of magnifies as they're doing the haptic aids, but it's all yours, Todd.
So what's we're holding focus groups like a month from now. So give us a month. We'll let you know a little bit more. What's kind of cool about the Samsung Gear is you no longer have to touch the screen. It's a dial. And what we've decided we'll go with is you turn the dial and different pictures show up rather than text. Now there is text in there, but the text is not, we can't get it big enough.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was
So
figuring.
that's the way we've gotten around it. Right? We'll see if older adults are, if they like it, if they have
If they can
feedback.
distinguish the pictures,
Right.
vision issues.
And it is, it's hard for me to judge. It seems pretty big kind of watch. So we'll see.
Reflecting the video you showed with buttons, like big enough you could hit it with your elbow. It's kind of a different thing. And the other is, so Nitish, who led our group today, had to leave and sat with me at lunch for a bit, and he really wanted me to make the point that an issue that hasn't been touched upon and that is really critical for older adults is sort of risk assessment. And none of you were really pushing hard on pushing for physical activity, but I wonder if you could comment or reflect on, when we're intervening, encouraging older adults in this case to be more active, how do we bring in the issue of the I think, Todd, you showed the J-shaped curve, so you did refer to it, but how do we incorporate that into interventions and thinking about that piece? Any of you?
So that if you do physical activity, you're at increased risk.
Some people, for certain activities, will be at increased risk, right?
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, we declare those risks on our consent form, so we're not doing that in real time. But I think you could have systems. That's where I like when I've seen Jeff Kay's work, where it's not even necessarily the decline that you're able to show over such long periods of time, but it's actually through all these different sensors, the variability changes. And it's actually when the variability gets greater, you start to say, okay, something's going on, and preclinical. So again, you could imagine a system that says, I'm seeing an amount of variability that makes me concerned to continue to give you this physical activity message. So again, I think it becomes part of the precision or personalized approach, but I don't know of anything going on now regarding that.
Well, so we were in the life study because we were really concerned about this. It's a safety issue because they were really vulnerable older adults, and we could unmask different things, subclinical conditions. And now we did a whole physician battery. We did medical history, and we did weed out a lot of people that we didn't think were safe. And those are all in the guidelines, right? Not the federal guidelines, but in ACSM guidelines, it's very clear in what you should not be doing exercise. But even despite that, a lot of the people were very vulnerable, had a lot of comorbidities, and had no adverse events necessarily compared to the other group. So, I mean, I'm not sure if the guidelines will be, changed or anything like that for these older adults, but when we did the life study, we didn't really know.
And I think, this is now reflecting my own experience in discussions among the Physical Activity Guidelines Advisory Committee, who are all certainly interested in this piece, is I don't think what we're talking about here is, serious adverse events, things that are going to send somebody to the hospital, but just kind of the aches and pains and strains that are going to, and particularly not in a trial situation where you have a chance to evaluate and exclude people, but if you're doing what we've been talking about, which is a tech-based intervention, I think his point was, how do you incorporate that aspect of it?
And especially the start slow message and pacing messages that are so important for older adults. And again, once you come back from the hospital, we have these like return from injury protocols where we say, start like you started at the beginning of the intervention. Imagine you're back there and start slow again. So again, if the technologies don't include that sort of messaging, it's going to be detrimental because they'll have another injury and just the cycle progresses.
There was a tidbit from the life study that was published a couple months ago that in the physical activity group, there was a slight increase in hospitalizations in the physical activity group. It was statistically significant, and we explored that, and we automatically thought it's in the frailest of the frail. That wasn't the case whatsoever. And it wasn't in the really higher functioning group. It was in the middle of the road group. And it was those people who, may have, they don't know, we're just theorizing here, but didn't know their capabilities, and it unmasked some of these subclinical events and these hospitalizations.
I hate to do this since there are several people standing, but we are quite a bit behind schedule. So to give the bladders in the room that need a break, we're going to take a break and reconvene in 15 minutes, 10 minutes? 2:45. 2:45. You got 4 minutes.
And you know the routine. Red group stays here. Blue group goes to 5302 with the view. And green group is back in 4004.
Thanks, everyone.